ResearchQuest with Juwel and Patricia.
Welcome to our series on Introduction to Research Methods and Analytical Techniques. Have you ever come across quantitative methods? Well, if you have, it might be intimidating at the beginning. However, it is just a way to answer some questions when we're doing research. In this short video, we're going to answer some of the biggest questions about quantitative methods. For example, what is it? What is it useful for? And what are the type of questions that are best answered by quantitative methods? So let's start. In simple words, it can be defined as a systematic way of collecting and analyzing numerical data, which is the opposite to qualitative methods, in which we collect and analyze non-numerical data such as text, videos, or pictures. Qualitative methods are used in a variety of ways and help researchers to find patterns and average in data. It also helps us to make predictions and assumptions. And finally, it allows us to test relationships among variables. In research, questions are used to set the basis of the entire study. So it is very important to keep in mind the characteristics of a good question and the type of questions we will come across when dealing with quantitative methods. There are three common categories of questions that we will come across. The first one usually looks at the difference between groups or variables. The second one aims to describe an event using numerical data. And the third one usually aims to find relationship and association among variables. Regardless of the type of question we're formulating or we are coming across, it is important to keep in mind that any question should be written in a specific and clear way. It also needs to be ethical and finally relevant. Now let's look at some examples. Imagine that we have two different protocols to treat a health condition, but we want to know if there is a difference between using protocol A instead of protocol B. This is a good example of a typical comparative quantitative research question. Now, imagine that instead of trying to find a difference, we want to describe an event using numerical data. In this case, we're measuring the number of calories burned by a 5-year-old kid who has been exercising for 60 minutes. Finally, let's look at an example where we're trying to study the relationship or association between two variables. In this case, we're looking at household income and how it is related to health status. Finally, to wrap up, let's remember three key pieces of information. First, quantitative methods deal with anything that can be measured with numbers. Second, pay attention to your research question because they become the frame of your study. And third, quantitative methods are useful when describing an event using numerical data, when we're looking at the difference among groups or interventions, or when we're looking at associations among variables.
ResearchQuest with Juwel and Patricia.